Hey, so happy Wednesday. Yeah, gosh, I feel like I could share so much, like spend the whole hour talking about the workshop that I took this weekend on the neuroscience of yoga. It's really, really fascinating. Um, and but I'll just share like a little bit each time. It actually reinforced a lot of what I've already been sharing with you over the years. And we talk a lot about the vagus nerve coming from the brain down into the body, but one thing that we reinforced in the workshop is that the vagus nerve comes from the brain stem. It starts from the brain stem, and the brain stem is all about survival, and it has these pathways down into the body, into the heart and lungs and digestive system and that whole area. And like the different pathways, like one of the 5 pathways is coming from the brain down into the gut, but 4 of the 5, like 80% of the information comes from the gut up into the brain, and that's about survival. So being in our stillness, or taking those moments of reflection, of pausing, brings us to a state where we can listen, is how I put it, listen internally from the gut up into the brain and know whether are we safe, are we, do we have to go into that fight or flight mode, or can we rest and digest and have this connection with people around us? So a lot of the yoga practices are about kind of tuning in and figuring out what's happening with our body. And this has a deep connection to the bones, because the bones are at the ready for our red blood cells, our white blood cells, and they're just constantly, they're an organ and they're working on supporting our body. And if we're in this fight or flight mode all the time, we're offloading a lot of the calcium to get the stimulus through our muscles to be active in the nervous system and all that. So the more we can reside in that parasympathetic state, in those, the better that our bones are in the deeper tissues. It comes from exhaling as best we can. We can even do it. We know that we do that all the time, right? When we're like, that's the body kind of releasing all, this tension. We do it with the ujjayi breath that we've talked about, where we're whispering muscles are really, one of the pathways down is right next to the vocal cord. So any kind of vibration around the vocal cords will calm the nervous system. It's also from chanting. We don't do a lot of chanting in this class. As a matter of fact, I don't think we've ever done any chanting in this class. But if you're in a chorus or something, or if you like to sing, just that kind of exhale with sound is really beneficial to turn on that nervous system, turn on the vagus nerve, and calm yourself. And another thing we talk about, and we'll do a little bit about this, is that, so we want the breath to be full and open and broad, and that's keeping the spine upright. We've talked a lot about posture in our classes, right? And avoiding that kyphotic curve, which we're afraid of, kind of collapsing into that upper spine. And if our bones are fragile, they might compress and crack. So we want to keep that open, but that also helps us breathe better. It also helps us move the breath. So we're going to work a little bit more on kind of keeping that posture upright today. All righty. All right. So today we'll start in a standing position. We'll come to a standing position. And once you get to standing, just know, we're fixing our clothes. We're like, let's actually just get the wiggles out. Let's just tap. Maybe even you can think of this as the heel taps. We're going to, you can come up on the balls of your feet and drop down on the heels, and then just kind of jiggle the whole body. This kind of taps into the nervous system and gives us a sense of just working out the wiggles. My dog sometimes will get the yayas at night. Maybe your dog has that situation too, where they just have to work out all the extra energy. Maybe you came to class without much energy, but this will sort of turn it up. We have that sense of just being in our body. And if you don't want to bounce, you can just go side to side and slightly jingle and jangle a little bit through the arms and shake a little bit. Just get a sense of, where your fingers are, your toes are. You could spend a little time rolling out and slowly stretching the toes. We've done this before. We're just connecting to the whole container that is our body, the whole container that we hold our connection to the world through every component in our body. And starting with the skin, so we can feel the bare feet touching the surface beneath you, working through the joint spaces of the skeletal system deep inside our feet, our toes, our ankles. My Fit Feet class, the self-paced class, is up for pre-order. It'll be completely available on October 15th if you want to sign up for that. It's in the email I sent today. Hi, Raquel. Hi, Michelle and Belinda. Okay. And then come slowly back into a steady position with your feet underneath your body in a comfortable distance for you, what feels rooted and grounded. Really widening the toe bed, reaching out through the pinky toe and the big toe in opposite directions. Pressing the feet down and away, keep pressing down and rising up through the ankles. You can even give a visual sense of your feet, so you can look down and see if you can get the toes away from each other. Even if you're energetically doing that, if it doesn't look like there's any more space between your toes, that you're just kind of bringing the awareness into the nervous system of your feet. Feeling the feet sink into the surface beneath you, and then coming up into the ankles, into the shins, checking in with the knees. We don't want to cut off that energy. We want to keep the suppleness through the knees and up into the upper legs. Drawing the sit bones toward one another, pubic bone and tailbone toward one another. Rise up to the center of the pelvic bowl, up into the belly, lowering the lower belly toward the spine as the spine migrates a bit forward. Lifting the sternum slightly and balancing the ears over the shoulders. The collarbones go broad. To the sides of the room, feel weight in the wrists, the fingers. Feeling your body long and tall. Have a sense of the surface beneath your feet. Have a sense of the space above your head. Have a space around the back side, the right side, the front side, and the left side, all around you. And breathe into that space. Feel the rib cage expanding and contracting around the body. And then we'll just take a very subtle movement with our arms, where we're going to have the flipping the palms out and lift the chest on your inhale. And then exhale, come back to where they were with the palms facing your body. Inhale, flipping the palms, lifting the chest slightly. Exhaling back and down. So they're making a bit of a spiral through the shoulders. Inhaling, flipping the palms, lifting the chest, shoulder blades go down the spine, exhaling down. So they hardly lift at all. They're mostly just spiraling. You're turning the thumbs out and palms forward. And exhale, turning the palms toward the body again. A few more times like that. Flow with your own breath. There's an inhale and a pause, and an exhale and a pause. A couple more times. And when you completed that next one, just pause for a moment in your mountain pose. Nice. Now inhaling, flipping the palms, now pushing the air all the way overhead, moving the gaze as you touch at the top of the inhale and pause. Exhale, flipping the palms out and down, touching down at the bottom of the exhale and pause. Now, if the arms don't like to go overhead, you can raise them as hard as it feels real comfortable. Inhaling. Just finding the top of the inhale and pause. And then exhale, coming back to your mountain pose and pause. Flowing through the air with the arms for the full duration of your breath, however long that might be. However far your arms might be able to reach. And one more time. And then when you're done with that, just pause and just notice sensation through the fingers, the wrists, the shoulders, maybe the shoulder blades, maybe through the legs, just noticing sensation. And then we'll squeeze everything to the center. You can either physically squeeze things like touching them or just having that sensation of the legs coming toward each other and sinking into your chair pose. Inhale, bring the hands overhead or forward. Pausing here for a moment, just reaching through the pinkies. Exhale fully here. And then inhale, straighten the legs, reach to the ceiling, and exhale, hands come back down. Let's do that a couple more times, just at the flow of the breath. We won't hold it. We'll just go inhale, pause here, exhale here, and then inhale, straightening up, and exhale, hands down. We spend a breath in there. Inhale, sink into chair, reach the hands. Exhale here. Inhale, straighten the legs, and exhale back to your mountain pose. Couple more times. Inhale, sink into chair. Exhale here. Inhale, straighten the legs. Exhale, hands down. And one last time. Inhale, sink into chair. Exhale here. Inhale, straighten the legs. And exhale, pausing here. And again, noticing sensation. Remember, the pause is important as the pose. Taking a moment to really accentuate that pause in the practice today, just to take note, letting that neuroplasticity of the brain take hold. And we'll sink back into chair pose, and your next inhale, your knees bend, your arms come forward, and holding this for a few breaths. Noticing the difference as we anticipate what's going to happen. Of the holding, we're noticing sensation in this hold. This is also a pause, but it's more active as a pause, right? The flow of the breath is still there. The whole body is pausing and supporting itself. Deep inhalations, deep exhalations. On your next inhale, we'll straighten the legs, reach to the ceiling, and exhale, hands down by your side. Pausing. Then sink once again, sink back into your chair, maybe a little deeper, maybe less deep. You choose, noticing what's available to your body. Maybe the arms don't like to be forward. Maybe the hands would prefer to be on your waist. You choose. Lifting from the back of the heart, the chest lifts, and you're breathing here. And then your next inhaling, you're going to straighten the legs to the ceiling and exhale back down to the floor, down to your mountain pose rather. Let's do it one more time. Sinking into your chair pose. Notice sensation through the body. The whole body is connected from the toes to the fingers. What is getting tired, what can be called upon to support the body. Make any changes. You have full agency to change your arms, straighten your legs, whatever you'd prefer to do. Listening to your body, breathing. And then next inhale, straighten the legs, reach to the ceiling, and exhale, hands come back down by your waist. Nice. Okay, let's separate the feet out about medium distance underneath your elbows. Right. I'm going to turn the right toes toward the right, left toes toward the inside. I'm going to mirror you. You're in triangle pose. The arms are up to a T. Take a big inhale here and exhale, hinging over that right hip, tipping over till you can't go any further. The right hand touches down. The left hand chooses either the waist or the air. You choose. Rolling the chest up, finding your strength through the legs, spreading the toes, and have a sense of where your ears are in space. Is your left ear closer to your shoulder? Or maybe the right ear is closer to the shoulder. Maybe you can find a more balanced position. Nice. Scissor the legs away from each other. They're on the center plane, scissoring apart. Breathing here. Hugging the muscles into the bones, lengthening the spine. And exhale fully here. On your inhale, you'll push through the legs, reach the arms out to the side, and then pivot the feet over to the other side. You see how we move with the breath. We let the breath help to lift the body and lower the body. Take an inhale here. Exhale, hinging over left hip. The right hand can wait while we touch down with the left hand wherever that meets the leg. Spine stays long, including the neck part of the spine. Choosing a gazing point maybe forward, or maybe it feels better to look down at the toes, or maybe up at that upper hand if your hand is in the air. Hugging the legs into the bones, and muscles of the upper legs into the bones, but they scissor across from one another. One's reaching towards the left, the other heel is reaching towards the right. Breathing deeply, engaging from the core, mobilizing out through the limbs. And then exhaling fully here, push through the legs, inhale, coming up, arms go wide. And hands to the waist as your feet turn to the center. And you can pause here for a moment, noticing left side and right side, front side and back side. Nice. Let's separate the feet a little bit further out. Turning the right toes toward the right, left toes slightly in. You bending into that right knee for your warrior two stance. Nice. Maybe the arms float up to the shoulder height. And here have a sense of that space in the front of the body. So let's open the palms to the ceiling, lifting up. And so the upper shoulders roll back down the shoulder blades, and keeping that lift in the torso, just moving the wrist to the elbow, the palms flip underneath or flip over, right? So you're keeping that lift from the upper arms when you flipped your hands up, and you just flip the palms. Nice. Just from the elbows to the wrist. Yeah, there's an ability in the skeleton to do that. And then gazing over your right fingertips. Holding this pose, lifting up from the chest, pausing in the pose. So there is importance in the pause where you're breathing deeply, but you're noticing. Maybe you need to make an adjustment to support yourself. Maybe you need to focus more on the breath. Take one more inhale here. And then exhale, hinging over the right hip. Let's bring the left hand to the waist. Reach out and over and take your side angle. Either the forearm's on the thigh or the hand is on the thigh. And then swinging left arm right up and over in an angle. Push back through that left heel. Lift up through the left inner ankle. Rolling the ribs up. And again, that hand in the air is optional. It could be the hand on the waist. The chest is open. Space between the ears and the shoulders is open, meaning you're not dropping one ear closer to the shoulder. Nice. Keep balance through the feet. The breath is full. And then inhale, coming up through warrior two, straightening that right leg, turn towards the center and pause for a moment with the feet to the center. And just notice left side, right side, front side, back side. Another pause. And then turning to the other side. So left toes go towards the left, and you're trying to parallel the feet to the side of the mat. So your hip is rotating outward a bit as you bend into that knee. The other toes, depending on what your knee likes, could be perpendicular to the side or parallel to the end or turned in slightly. You choose. The knee often will take the brunt of the argument between your hip and your ankle. So you need to mediate for that knee. Arms are up to a T. Roll the palms up and the shoulders back down your spine, and keeping the shoulders where they are, just turn the palms back down to the floor, lifting the chest. And then noticing if you're further into the front hip or further into the back hip, trying to find that center spot. Pushing the feet down and away. Breathing here. And the gaze can go over the left fingers if that feels right for the neck. This is the pose, this is the pause at the same time. So it's interesting when she says the pose is as important as the pause, or the other way around, the pause is as important as the pose, because sometimes the pose and the pause are the same thing. You put yourself in a position and you're pausing while you're breathing and noticing sensation. Take one more inhale here. And exhale, hinging over the left hip. Take your side angle, either hand on thigh or forearm on thigh, swinging right arm at an angle perhaps, or hand to the waist. The chest is lifting. Keep that space between the belly and the chest and the chin nice and long. So still there's posture in the torso. Nice. Balance through the feet. The breath is smooth. And then inhale, coming up through warrior two. Straightening that left leg, turn the toes toward the side, hands to the waist or down by your side, whatever feels right. And just take a moment to notice left side, right side. Nice. And then we're going to turn towards, you can choose, let's all turn towards the left. We'll turn towards the left with the left foot forward. I'm going to be using my right, but I'm going to be facing in the same direction as you. So left foot, actually, okay, so you're all facing this way and your left foot is forward. I'm going to do the same. My left foot is going to be forward. And the back heel could be down on the floor. So you're squaring the hips towards the back. So the legs are straight and the hips are square to the end. And then we're going to just for a moment lift the arms up and bring the hands back behind the elbows. You're bending the elbows like cactus. The palms are facing each other and you bring the hands back a little bit further. So you feel how that kind of lifts the chest, like we were just kind of doing it in the warrior two. And you can bend into that elbow or bend into that knee, sorry. Bend the elbows and bend the knees. So you're bending into the knee, lifting the chest. Take a couple of breaths here to sort of imprint this spot where it feels lifted through the chest. And then you exhale, you straighten the leg and bring the hands back down by your side. And then inhale, bring the elbows up, bring the hands back further behind your body as you bend into the knee, lifting the chest. You should feel a little bit lengthening through the front of the chest, and that space in the back of the heart comes forward, like as if we were on the blankets that we've been on before on the floor. We're kind of doing that in a standing position. Take one more inhale here. And then exhale, straighten the legs, release the hands to the floor. And let's do that with our breath. So you inhale, bend into the knee, lift the arms, elbows go back. And exhaling, Straighten the legs, bring the hands back down. Inhale. Shifting forward. If you're feeling it in your low back, draw your belly forward towards the knee. And exhaling, straightening. And then go ahead and do that at your own pace, following your breath. The breath is instigating the movement. Inhaling forward and up, exhaling back and down. With your own breath. And complete the one you're on and do one more after that. And when you're done with that second one, you step forward with your right foot and pause for a moment, noticing left and right. From your mountain pose, take that pause. And then we're going to switch legs. So you step back with your left foot. Then we'll go forward again. So you're bending into your right knee, lifting the chest, bringing the hands slightly back further than your elbows, and exhaling down. It might be a little bit more challenging if we're sort of right leg, left leg, if there's sort of a dominant side for you to coordinate this. Lifting up from the back of the heart. We're kind of working on that kyphotic curve, moving at your own pace with your own breath. Feeling the inhales lift and lengthen, and the exhales grounding, strengthening. Nice. Complete the one you're on and do one more after that. And when you've completed that one, you can step forward to your mountain pose and pausing there for a moment in your mountain pose. And just notice, this is a form of yoga called Vini Yoga. And so it's very focused on breath and movement. It works deeply on the nervous system. And you can feel the sensations that occur. If at any time any of this stuff doesn't feel right for you, you can unmute as well or talk to me afterward. You can always make changes for yourself. These are always just options and guidance. Okay, so we're going to come to our mountain pose. You can come and face the camera if you'd want to face the front of the space. Coming into our balancing poses. So after all of that dynamic movement, we'll see we can find that stillness, the pause in the pose, but with a sense of balance. So you can be near your support system, or we're coming into tree pose. Your hands are to your waist. You're going to shift your weight over to your right leg, bending the left knee forward and out, and then connect either the heel above the ankle or the foot into the calf or the foot up into the inner thigh. And hold the support system. Maybe the hands go away. Maybe you can return to that same bent arm and hands further away from your elbows. Maybe a little higher, maybe a little lower, you choose. Just feel the lift of the sternum, the strength of the legs, and all the little proprioceptive movements in your feet are coming into your nervous system immediately, making these little adjustments as you breathe. It's like a checklist. Check, 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 check. Breathe. Nice. Take one more inhale here. The exhale brings the knee forward, foot releases, and then you bring the foot back down to the floor. And then wiggle it out. Takes a lot of energy to hold that. Nice. And then we're going to come to the other side. So you always start from your mountain pose, shifting over to the left leg. Bending the right knee forward, externally rotating the hip. Connect the foot into the leg somewhere, either above the heel and you play with the toes coming up, or the foot comes flat on the calf or up into the inner thigh. You choose. Strong sense of grounding and hugging into the center. The hands can stay at the waist or hold the support. Change positions to challenge the center of gravity. You can notice that in this pose, it's not complete stillness. There is wiggles. There are wiggles. There are adjustments. Balance is a dynamic state. Breathing here. Take one more inhale here. Exhale, hands back to the waist. Inhale, the knee comes forward. Exhale, foot comes down. Nice. You can notice some days are more balanced than others, right? You can notice, were you more wiggly than normal? Were you less wiggly than normal? There's all these things that come into play with our sense of balance. Okay, let's take our feet wide as our mat, toes out, heels slightly in. Inhale, swing the arms, and then exhale, bend the knees, cross the arms. Push through the feet, inhale, swing the arms. Exhale, bend the knees, cross the arms. Push through the feet, inhaling up. Exhale down, and one more time up. And exhaling down to your squat, wherever that may be. Maybe the hands are on the thighs. Maybe forearms are on thighs. Maybe elbows in knees. Adjusting the feet. Again, the ankles and the hips are very tight areas. The knees take the brunt. Be an advocate for your knees. Adjust your feet and hips accordingly. Breathing here. Find balance through the big toe and pinky toe and the inner and outer heel. Take one more inhale here. And then exhale, gently make your way down to the floor. We're going to come to our hands and knees as you make your way to the floor. Sorry. You can turn towards the hands and knees. The palms can be right underneath your shoulders, knees underneath the hips. Toes are drawing back. So you're on the tops of the feet. And then let's step that left foot back behind you, reaching through the heel, lengthening through the calf. Feel the connection up through the leg into the hip socket, maybe up into the belly space, drawing the belly to the spine. Keeping that left hand grounded, right hand comes forward and the palm faces the center so that shoulder rolls away from the ear. Take the belly to the spine and push the left foot off the floor to hip height. Keep reaching actively away from each other, the upper floating limbs. They're not just floating, they're actively lifting. Reaching through the pinky toes, the pinky finger, and finding that breath. Take one more inhale here. Exhale, bring the right hand down to the floor. Take your left foot across the right side off of your mat and turning towards your left, reach that left hand to the ceiling. So you're on your right knee, right hand, reaching to the ceiling. And then exhale, left hand reaches toward the front of your mat. Long line. This one, your head can dangle a bit, feeling the length through the side body. And then inhale, reach that left hand to the ceiling again. Exhale, turn back towards the mat, hands and knees. And we'll switch to the other side. Right foot steps back, press into the ball of the foot, reaching through the heel, lengthen the calf, and sense the leg all the way up into the hip socket, maybe up into the lower belly. That right hand grounds, left hand comes forward, palm facing center. Lift the belly to the spine, push the right foot off the floor to hip height. Feel that space between the right pinky or left pinky finger and the right pinky toe, lengthening away from each other. Breathing here. Take one more inhale here. And exhale, the left hand down to the floor. Take your right foot across the left side off of the mat, turning towards your right. Reach that right hand to the ceiling as you inhale. And exhale, right hand towards the front of the mat. Long line. Lengthening along the sideline of the body. Breathing here. And then inhale, reaching the right hand to the ceiling again. Exhale, back to hands and knees and pausing here. We're going to take a little bit of movement from this position. So the knees are underneath your hips, toes drawing back, palms under the shoulders, but slightly forward. So you're pushing the hands away from you on the sticky mat. And then draw the hands towards your knees as your chest comes slightly forward. Chest comes slightly forward. And then exhale, push the hands away from you as you come down to the forearms. Come into a bit of a child's pose. So the head might reach the mat, or maybe it just drops slightly. Long spine. And then draw your hands towards your knees as you bring yourself forward. Chest comes slightly forward of your wrists. And then exhale, pushing the hands away from your knees. You come down to the forearms. Head comes down towards the floor, toward your child's pose. Inhale, coming back up. Slightly forward. Exhaling again. So go ahead and move like that with your own breath at your own pace. Finding the pause between the inhales and the exhales. That connection between the hands and the connection to the floor. The toes are grounded. And the next time you come through your exhale down to your child's pose, you can just pause in your child's pose. The head comes down, the arms are down. The arms may be wide, or maybe you bring the hands alongside your body and rest the upper arms on your thighs, whatever feels supportive. So the hands could be forward, or maybe the hands are back. You choose. Breathing here. And then next inhale, you'll draw yourself up. And we're going to make our way to our back. So you can roll over to one side and roll down onto your back. If you have your strap handy, you can get your strap and use that. If you don't have a strap, no worries. We can work without it. The strap might be handy. Now, the irony of some of these movements that in yoga that we would use for our parasympathetic nervous system. So let's lengthen our spine out long as I talk, and adjusting your shoulder blades and your hips so your spine is neutral. And you can bring both legs up, and you can either hold onto the back of the thighs, the legs straight, or wrap the strap around the ball of the feet, both feet. So if you have a strap, it'll go around the ball of the feet, straighten the legs. If you don't have a strap, just hold the back of the legs if that's available. And reaching through the heels. So you're lengthening the back body. So forward folds, which they often will say not to do if you have osteoporosis, are actually quite calming to the body. It's an exhale, the lengthening of that. So you're drawing yourself. So we're going to replicate a forward fold with a safe spine, with the spine on the floor. The spine is long and you're lengthening as much as you can through the back body. And from here, you can notice your stopping points. Maybe it's the hamstrings, maybe it's the low back. So maybe the legs are straight, but they're further away from your chest. But maybe they're straight and they come closer to your chest. So you choose your forward fold. Imagine the chest and the legs are lengthening over one another, whether they're far away or close together, if that makes sense. You're lengthening the back body and you're taking long, deep inhales, long, deep exhales, feeling for the stretch through the bottoms of the feet. So you can accentuate this when you have the strap around the ball of the feet. So you're sort of leveraging the tug of the toes towards your knees. If you don't have the strap, you're going to just try to draw the tops of the feet towards the shins as best you can. So you're kind of lengthening. Your forward fold starts at the base of the feet, the bottom, the arches of the feet. That fascia plane starts right there. Nice. And just a few breaths in this upside down forward fold. Giving your body time to lengthen through the back side of the body. And all the while keeping the front side and the spine nice and long. So we're not exacerbating that kyphotic curve. We're trying to keep that long, that space between the belly and the chest and the chin. Take one more inhale here. And then exhale, slowly lower the legs down to the floor. You can do it all at once or one at a time. You can use your strap or not. And get long and tall on the floor. And for a moment, just check in with the legs reaching down as if you're standing on something. So you keep the feet flexed, adjusting any shoulder blades or hips that may have come undone, and just feel long along the floor. Using this as a marker. If the head and the shoulders are sort of contending with which comes to the floor more, or first rather, that's more of a kyphotic curve. We can work on kind of straightening that out slowly. So it may be causing a little tension right now if you have that contention. So we'll move out of that in a moment. You can place a little blanket under your head if you need be. After you've spent a few moments here, let's bend the knees. Take the feet out wide as your mat. Knees are bent, feet are out as wide as your mat. Arms are out wide. I'm going to take ourselves into the windshield wipers. You're going to exhale, let both knees go over to the left and gaze over to the right-hand side. And then inhale, coming back up, knees up, gazing to the ceiling, and exhale, let the knees go over to the right, gaze over to the left. And you know the drill. We're going to just move back and forth, pausing with the inhales at the top of the inhale, the bottom of the exhale. Rocking on the base of the skull, the back of the sacrum, and then on the bottoms of the heels of your feet, going from your pinky toe side of one foot to your big toe side of the other foot. And this is a super gentle twist in the sense that the body also upregulates or stimulates that parasympathetic nervous system in twists. It's another sort of family of poses that they will often say we shouldn't do if we have osteoporosis, but you can do them with the spine long and with mindfulness. Maybe sensing what feels right for you. And the next time you come over to the left-hand side with your knees, you'll pause with the knees over to the left. Gaze up to the ceiling. Push a little bit through that right heel to internally rotate that right hip. And then maybe the left ankle comes on top of the right thigh. And release into the shape. If that foot doesn't feel right on your knee, or your thigh rather, you can bring the left foot down to the floor. Releasing and breathing. Just kind of lengthens through the belly space. Can feel for the diaphragm rising and falling. You can even engage more in a belly breath in this position. I don't know if we've ever really talked about that, where you can, as you inhale and the diaphragm draws down into the belly, release the belly rises. And then as you exhale, the belly draws back to the spine and the diaphragm goes up, pushing the air out of your body. And go back and forth. And then if your left ankle is on top of your right thigh, you can remove that down to the floor. Inhale, bringing the knees up, and exhale, let the knees go over to the right. Once you get there, maybe you push a little bit through your left heel, and maybe your right ankle comes on top of your left thigh. Releasing into this side. Feeling for the shoulder blades resting on the floor as comfortably as you can. Make any adjustments to find that ease in the pose for your body. And then focus on the breath. So you especially that exhale. Exhale draws the belly to the spine, and the inhale releases the belly and lets it rise up. So choosing this softening kind of breath with the belly breath. And then on your next exhale, you can remove that right foot down if it's on your thigh. Inhale, bringing the knees up, and then exhale, straighten the legs out wide, wider than your mat. Arms are out wide, adjusting your hips and your shoulders so you feel balanced in your spine. You're in 5-pointed star. Feeling the full release of the body weight into the surface beneath you. And feeling the space all around you. If this feels like the right position for your Shavasana, you're welcome to stay right here. Otherwise, make any adjustments. Getting anything you need to be comfortable. Releasing all the efforts in your body. Release the tongue from the roof of the mouth. Release your jaw, release your neck. Release down through your shoulders, through each of your elbows, your wrists, and all your fingers. Let your breath float away as you release down your spine, through your hips, through each of your knees, your ankles, and all your toes. And just take these last few moments of class in stillness, absorbing all the benefits of today's practice. And begin to deepen your breath. And spread your fingers and toes. Draw your legs together, arms overhead for a nice long stretch. And bending one knee at a time, roll over to one side and pause there for a moment. Using your hands and your arms, gently make your way up to a seated position. And thank you so much for sharing your practice, your energy, and your breath. May your hearts be filled with loving kindness. May you be peaceful and at ease. May you be healthy and well nourished. And may you be happy. Namaste. Thanks so much for coming. You can turn on.
Thank you. That was really good.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thanks, Mary Beth. I gotta run.
Okay, take
It was
care.
great. Mary
Thank
Beth, the